Oh my, what a green day we just had in the stock market. I was up nearly $6,000 or 5.5% in one day. I was able to match the S&P 500's return, but was well below the Nasdaq's 7.35% return today. I'll also be going over some of the biggest movers in my portfolio, as well as where I put the $400 I just invested into the stock market at. Today was the biggest one-day gain since 2020. And what's the reason for this? Well, it could be because nowadays we're happy with inflation reports of 7.7%, which is ridiculously high, but seeing how last month was 8.2%, we now live in a society where 7.7 inflation is somehow considered good news. We also recently had the midterm elections, and surprise, surprise, the pollsters were yet again wrong. What was projected to be a red wave only seemed to hit Florida, as it seemed to be just a red ripple across the US. Republicans are still expected to win the House just by a much smaller margin than initially expected, and they have an outside chance of winning the Senate. Yeah, it's still not official because for some reason we count votes much slower today than we did in the past, and nobody really seems to believe in election results anymore these days. Anyway, the reason why I mention this is because there is actually a high correlation between the stock market and midterm elections. In 17 of the 19 midterms since 1946, the market has actually performed better in the 6 months following an election than it did in the 6 months leading up to it. It should also be noted that the stock market tends to do well under a Democratic president but a Republican Congress, which is likely what we're heading into. A Republican Congress under a Democratic president has been the strongest environment for stocks, with the benchmark S&P 500 stock market index returning 16.3% on average between 1950 and 2021 when those criteria were met. Alright guys, that's enough news, that's enough politics. Let's get into all those massive gains today, because the only thing that's hotter than Kari Lake was the stock market today. Alright guys, a big gainer for me today was Square, up 17%. And no, I'm definitely not going to be calling it Block. Square had a good earnings report last week, now up to 18 million Cash App card users, and they also have an amazing point-of-sale solution product for restaurants and other retail locations. But it's going to take a lot more of these up 17% in one days for me to recoup all the losses I've experienced with this company. We also have Nvidia, a $400 billion company, go up 14.3% in one day. This just proves how silly the stock market is that a well-established AI, data center, gaming company is actually moving like a penny stock. After Nvidia, we had BlackRock, a wealth management company, up 13%. This is a $100 billion market cap company, and they control over $10 trillion in assets under management, and they still have a really strong and growing 2.5% dividend yield. We also had Amazon, a $1 trillion company, up 12.17%, which just totally comes back full circle as the stock dropped 13% after reporting a weak earnings and a disappointing Q4 forecast, and they actually missed their revenue estimates. We also had NIO report earnings today, up 11.78%. It had a really good earnings report with strong demand for its new ET5 sedan, and they're also expecting increased sales as we get closer to the end of the year. I hate to say I told you so, but guys, the stock I've been buying the most of in 2022 is Applied Materials, and they were up 11% today. Semiconductors are everywhere around us. Anything electronic has a semiconductor in it. It's foolish to think that they won't be around in the future. And this is probably the most important thing I have to say in this video, and that's the fact that I didn't try to time the market. Instead, I bought really high quality companies, I bought them on the dip, and I continue to hold them even when times are tough. I didn't put a considerable amount of money toward the latest hot stock, and now I'm getting rewarded for it. And it's big blue chip companies like Lowe's that are up 9.5% in one day. Lowe's is a dividend king with 50 plus straight years of increased dividend payments. Lowe's has a history of putting money in your pockets every single quarter. The largest company in the world is Apple, up 9% in one day. Today was also payday from Apple, so my dividend payment went into buying more shares of Apple. I'm now up to well over 40 shares of Apple. I'm gonna go over these next couple companies pretty fast. We had the data center giant Equinix up 8.3%. We had Microsoft up 8%. Guys, did anything change with Microsoft's business model in the last 24 hours that it should be going up 8%? A $1 trillion company. Nope, it's still selling software, it's still selling business application services, it's still selling its cloud services and its gaming products just like it was yesterday, but people, they act very irrational. They start panic selling or they start buying only at the top. It's irrational behavior, and it's behavior like that that really is gonna hurt your gains, guys. We have more $1 trillion companies like Google up 7.5%. Medical Properties Trust is up 7.5%. MPW had a really strong earnings report. There's lots of doubts about this company, but I honestly think a lot of those are wildly exaggerated. I now own 120 shares of this company, and they still have a starting dividend yield of 9.6%. We also had the triple Qs, essentially the 100 largest companies in the NASDAQ. They were up 7.4% today. Keep an eye out this weekend. I'll have a video for you on why you might want to second guess your QQQ investment. We also had SoFi up 7.2% in one day. Now I'm still waiting for the day for this stock to just take off, but I believe getting its banking charter was huge for this company. Once all this ridiculous student loan forgiveness, even if you make $250,000 a year, is over, people will try to refinance their student loans. That is SoFi's biggest money-making segment. And as promised, guys, I said I would reveal the stock that I put $400 into today, and I always like to limit my buying to Fridays only. It really helps me avoid making irrational decisions. And then 4 minutes before the stock market closed today, I realized, oh shoot, it's Veterans Day on Friday. So I kept it simple and I just put $400 into SCHD. This is a fund that has over 100 dividend-paying stocks that are screened with specific criteria for high quality and the sustainability of its dividend. I'm now up to 17 shares of SCHD in my taxable account. I have about 30 shares across all my investment accounts, so it's a really super easy way to get exposure to dividend investing. All right, guys, I'd love to hear what stocks went up for you today. Why do I have a feeling the stock market will just give back all of its gains on Monday? I want to thank all the veterans out there for defending our country. And if you've enjoyed my content, please be sure to help out a small-time YouTuber by hitting that like button and subscribing to the channel. As always, my videos are found in podcast form under the Collect Cash podcast name, and I will buy, stash, and collect cash you later.